discipline does not last, right?
Mm-hmm.
Motivation
Yeah.
will not last. Leverage will always last because it is a bigger pull. It is not something pushing you. The beautiful thing about this thing, right, is,
Yeah.
we can live without it. That's the
Yeah.
truth. We can live without it. It does make our lives easier. It also does create problems. So,
Mm-hmm.
with problems comes solutions. And on every single phone that I've always seen is there is a button that you can select how long you want to be on social media. And there's only one person that's holding anybody back in this world, and it's themselves, because they don't want to cross the line, because they're fearful of the pain it may cause, even if it's better for their life.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Fuel Lab Central. Today I'm joined by Peter. So Peter, would you like to tell our audience why they should be excited about our conversation today?
Well, thank you beautifully for the introduction. I think today we're going to talk about routines, rituals, and habits,
Mm-hmm.
and creating some beautiful routines, rituals, and habits about how I did it and how I went through my journey. And what I believe is going to be exciting for your listeners, and I believe this is going to be exciting for you, is we're going to more than likely touch on health as well.
Mm-hmm.
So let me tell you a little bit about me.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you for having me on your show. And thank you for all the listeners out there that are listening, for tuning in. So I want to say thank you for all of you guys and ladies. So my background is I'm an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur since a very young age, did a lot of different work for numerous amounts of companies across different sectors like bar sectors, restaurants. And then I did insurance. Then I ended up falling into fireworks, which was to do with my dad. And then that's when I really became an entrepreneur. Every time I worked for somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel super comfortable working for somebody else. I always wanted to work for myself. Um, so from there, I developed multiple businesses now that all change people's lives. So every single one of my businesses change people's lives in some way or another. They're in fireworks is one industry that they're in. Skydiving is another industry that I'm in. And then personal development and personal growth, um, me being a coach, gap coach, business coach, lifestyle coach, whatever you want to call us, or myself. That's one of the
Yeah.
things that I do. Speaker is another one. That's the reason why I'm here.
Yeah.
And yeah, and just being a super awesome, amazing human being. So that's what I believe why your listeners are going to get excited about today. That's what I believe.
Now, there's a thing about routines and rituals when people get into or try to get into something like that, right? They've reached a point where they understand that they need to have that in their life. They're stuck about rock
Mhm.
bottom, or they're just in a bad situation and they realize if they don't set their life straight, they'll be messed up, right? So,
Mhm.
where did that motivation come for you? And then we can get into the exact way in which you did it. So,
I
probably.
think for me, it's come at many different times
Mm,
along my life, and one of the things that for me was a big factor is when I was probably in my 20s, I was really overweight,
mhm.
and I then decided one day that enough's enough, and change started to happen. And then all the way through um, my 20s into my 30s, and so on and so on. And still to this day, I've been working on health very much so a lot. And that was one aspect of my life that I started to change and create new routines, rituals, and habits. And then there was another one where it was creating a morning routine and an evening routine was super important to me.
Yeah.
And then there was one where I actually stopped drinking alcohol and taking drugs. There
Mm,
was another one. And then there was relationships, where I
mm,
started to change my routines, rituals, and habits on my relationships. And the reason I'm saying all these different factors is because in every single one of them, there was a consistent pattern. And the consistent pattern was leverage. It was all about how much leverage I had on myself to create these new routines, these new rituals, which then turned into habits, you know. And it was originally the pain of being told I was fat from people, or, you know, saying direct, non-beautiful words, I'm going to say, or being feel like I was being put down, or a negative statement, or a negative word, or a disempowering statement. And I think with that one, it was very much like, right, I want to lose weight because I don't want to be like this no more. And that was the creative pain, because other people were saying it to me. When I quit up the substances, stopped taking doing the alcohol and the drugs, again, insane amount of pain. Insane amount of pain was going through it. And then I changed that, started creating new routines, new rituals, new habits. Again, relationships, pain again. So the reoccurring pattern here is the word pain. And then it creates leverage. So when we have pain in our lives, we then create something which is called leverage. And once we have leverage, we can do a lot with it. And that was the thing that I started to understand, is when things are not going our way, why are they not going our way? And then how can we come away from it? And then what we do from there is you create awareness about what's not great in your life. And then we start to look at it, we start to change it. And the maddest thing about change, and the beautiful thing about change, is this. Is how long do you think change takes?
Me personally, how much it takes? In what aspect is the question, I would say.
Well, the question is in every aspect, all aspects. How quick, how fast do you think, or how long do you think it takes to change?
Mentally, I think it takes an instant to change, but physically, it could take a month, it could take a few 6 months, and then relationships, again, it could change instantly. Relationships can change instantly.
So the answer is, you got it completely correct. That is instantly. It's that fast. This is in a heartbeat. Change doesn't happen over time. Change happens in that split moment. There's a moment in time where we decide that we've had enough, or we don't want to do this no more, and that's at that point, that's when we change. And the aftermath of that, and the moving forward of that, and whatever happens from that point to forward to the future, that's not change. That's just creating routines, rituals, and habits. And the byproduct of it may be losing weight. The byproduct of it may be getting married. And the reason why I say that is because I got a beautiful picture of me and my wife that got married last year. You know, the byproduct of it is building new relationships, building new businesses. You know, the byproduct is becoming healthier. And I say that because of the fact that everybody thinks, oh, well, change comes in a long period of time. No. That time between here and wherever and whatever it else, all that is routines, rituals, and habits.
Now, you mentioned about leverage of oneself, right? Can you just explain how you can leverage that? I mean, you have pain, and pain leads to leverage, right? I mean, people leveraging themselves. Could you just make it simpler for the regular person?
Okay, so by the way, everybody's a regular person.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is we will do more to not be in pain than we will do to be in pain, right? So if there is a moment in our life where we know it's going to be painful, then we will do everything in our power to not go into that painful place.
Okay.
So, and I'll give you an example of that. We know that going to the gym, we've just been speaking off screen, right? And you said, you know, you wanted to do more physical exercise to me, right? We know that when we start again, and you potentially, let's just say you want to go running, right? You know, deep down inside of your heart and your soul and your mind, that when you go and do your first run again, it's going to be painful.
Yep.
It's going to be really painful.
Yeah.
So what we do is we create a story around why we shouldn't do it. Like, I haven't got enough time, or I haven't got my equipment with me, or it's raining, or it's too windy, or it's too hot, or it's too cold, or it's whatever. So we
Yeah.
create stories around it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where leverage comes in.
Okay.
When you create leverage and when you understand what leverage is, and I'm going to explain it to you now, is stepping into that painful experience to get a new result, to get a better life,
Okay.
then gets you something there. And what I mean by that is this, is for me personally, I don't want to ever go back to being 20 kilos overweight. I
Yeah.
don't know what that is in pounds. I can Google it if you want, but I don't want to ever be 20 kilos overweight. Now I have leverage, right? I don't want to be an overweight husband
Mm-hmm.
that is not healthy for my beautiful wife, right?
Yeah.
Because that's part of our life. Leverage, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to pick my children up when me and my beautiful wife have kids, right? I wanted to pick them up, and I still want to have a mountain of energy to play with my children in the future.
Right.
Leverage, right?
Yeah.
I want to live to 100-year-old because I never nearly made it to 22, and I never nearly made it to 40, right? Leverage,
Mm-hmm.
right? Can you understand this?
Yeah.
These thought processes that we're getting, right? I also, believe it or not, when I get older, right? When I get into my senior years, when I'm in my 80s and 90s, I still want to be able to play golf. I still want to be
All right.
able to jump out of an aeroplane. I still want to be able to have, let's say, fun time in the bedroom with my beautiful wife, right? Leverage. Can you
Yeah.
see how we create leverage,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when I don't want to get up in the morning,
Yeah.
I go and I say, if I don't get up, Peter, you're not going to live to 100. You're not going to be fit enough
All right.
to do this. And if I don't then get up and do a routine and create a new routine, rituals, and habits, I then go, well, you're going to be overweight, and you're going to be this, and you're going to be that, and you're going to get to this stage where you're not able to pick your kids up, and you're not able to play with, you're not able to play with your nieces and nephews, and you're not able to go and play golf, and you're not able to skydive, and you're not able to go and walk up a mountain.
Right.
Move, get out of bed, leverage. That's leverage, and you create that yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very easy. Very easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's way easier to focus on not doing it than it is to do it.
Right.
It also takes the same amount of energy to focus on not doing it, so not doing the run or not going to the gym, that it does to do the damn thing.
All right. Yeah.
So does this make sense to you?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I love the fact that you included that there's a lot of self-talk involved, and the self-talk has to be in a manner that you motivate yourself and keep that vision in mind, that you have the long-term vision with yourself. Now let's yeah, go on. Sorry
I
about that.
just want to touch on that word, right? So the word motivation,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you used the word at the beginning when I first come on the call with you before we went live and recorded, right? Is you said discipline,
Yeah.
right? Discipline doesn't last.
Okay.
Discipline does not last, right?
Mm-hmm.
Motivation
Yeah.
will not last. Leverage will always last because it is a bigger pull. It is not something pushing you. So when you talk about motivation, it feels like someone's pushing you down the road by me saying, right, come on, get up, move yourself, let's go, right? It's a push. It's someone pushing you along that doesn't last. If you've got something inside of you that's pulling you towards it, and I'll make an example of just myself, that I want to live to 100-year-old and still be doing the things that I want to do, that's a pull. That's not a push. That's pulling me towards it. So I want to be very clear about motivation, because I can motivate you to get out of bed if you want, but it won't last.
All right. Now, let's get to the routines, rituals, and habits part of the conversation where we started. Now, I don't know how to put this question. What's the smallest routine that a person can set up for their life? Uh,
Make your bed.
mhm. Make,
Make your bed.
yeah,
So
right. I've heard that
doesn't
a lot,
matter
yes.
doesn't matter where you are in the world, right? Make your bed.
Mm-hmm.
Get up out of bed, make your bed. I make my bed when I'm in hotels. I make my bed when I'm in Airbnbs. I make my bed when I'm at home every morning. If
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaving the hotel or I'm leaving where I'm staying, right? I strip the bed down,
Okay.
right? So let's say this. Let's even say this. So one of my routines is first, as soon as I wake up, first thing I do is I say what I'm grateful for. So I say, thank you for being here. Thank you to myself. Thank you for giving me another chance on this planet. Thank you very much. I'm so grateful for being able to walk, talk, see, hear, feel.
Yeah.
Right. I then look at my beautiful wife if I'm with her and I say, thank you to myself and I'm a beautiful wife for being part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And then I decide on 2 to 3 people, pardon me,
Mm-hmm.
who I decide to text, just seeing how they are, send them a message saying, thank you for being part of my life. Thank you very much. I do a lot of thanking to
Mm-hmm.
myself and people around me because I believe that that is how I start my day. And then what I do
Mm-hmm.
is I make my bed. And
Right.
I even make my bed if I fly first class.
Right.
So sorry, I'm just getting a bottle of water.
Yeah.
Um, so even if I fly first class, I make my bed,
Mm-hmm.
right? I then do whatever, and then I go to sleep. When I wake up, I make my bed again. Now, if I don't make my bed, I strip the bed down.
Okay. Now,
So
I've
that's the
heard this a
first.
lot. Yeah, I've heard this a lot of times. Even I've heard some military person say that this is the smallest routine that you can start, and then it gets you going because doing the simplest task in the morning sets you up for a good mood, and then you can have that throughout the day, something of that sort. Now, where do we, I mean, I guess there's no stopping it, right? Once you have this one step taken, there are so many things you can do throughout the day that's set you up for life, right?
Mhm. So I have to give that. I forgot that gentleman's name, by the way, the military guy. I have to give him the credit for that because that's where I got that from.
Hmm.
And he says the smallest task. Now
Yeah.
I changed it because I never liked making my bed, right? To the most mundane task, to the most tedious task. It's so
Right.
simple,
Hmm.
and I haven't met anyone yet that likes doing it.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Right? No
Yeah.
one likes to do it. Everybody likes to get in a nice bed, but I haven't met anybody yet that likes to do it. So for me,
Yeah.
and if hopefully this military gentleman out there may hear this one day, I want to say thank you very much for that great thing that you've given me. And from there, we can just create every single thing. Now, there's multiple different researches on saying to create a new habit or a routine, right, or a ritual, it takes 27 days, right?
Yeah.
In between 27 days and 42 days, I believe, something like that,
Yeah.
right? Without going into too much science, there's so much different research about that.
Yeah.
For me, it's very much about keep doing it. And if you miss it, just get back on and do it. If you
Yeah.
miss it, get back on and do it. Miss it and get back on and do it. It doesn't matter when you just keep doing it. And then in the end, it becomes this kind of it's engraved into your body. It's like then I pick 1 or 2 things a week, or one thing a week, or one thing a month. It doesn't need to be like 10 things at once. It
Hmm.
could be that you're gonna this week make your bed every single week, and then you're gonna pick another thing to do after you've
Yeah.
completed that. And
Yeah.
then it builds, and you only pick one a week. And even if you, and then one week you might decide I'm not going to pick anything extra this week.
Yeah. Even if you continue doing the same things, the same routine, you're actually just, at least you're following this routine, right? And you're getting into
Mm-hmm.
the ritual of, and that's wiring your brain kind of like that. Even the very simple fact of sleeping on time or just getting up on time can be a tedious task. But yeah, life throws you off. And then there's some day that you're just waking up late and then you don't know. But then you can get back to it on the next day, right? That kind of thing. Now, there's one bad
Exactly.
habit that people have been picking up these days, specifically, right? Social media and the digital internet. Yeah, I was going to talk about it, the phone itself, right? So, how are you tackling that, and what do you suggest people for that?
Okay, so for me, the, the beautiful thing about this thing, right, is
Yeah,
we can live without it. That's the
yeah,
truth. We can live without it. It does make our lives easier. It also does create problems. So,
mhm,
with problems come solutions. And on every single phone that I've always seen is there is a button that you can select how long you want to be on social media.
yeah.
So I have 15 minutes a day on Facebook and 15 minutes a day on Instagram. And
Okay.
that's it. Once that 15 minutes, and sometimes, by the way, just to let you know, because I am human, I am made of skin,
Mm.
right? And bones and hearts and organs. Sometimes I go a little bit over that 15 minutes and then I catch myself and go, "Oh, you're so adorable." And then I slap my wrist or I go, "Oh," and then I go, "You caught it," pat on the back, and then I put the phone down.
Yeah.
And it's funny you bring this up because I did a talk on Wednesday
Hmm.
at a property development event.
Hmm.
And I said, it's very funny how men mainly, for some reason, when they go to the toilet, they take the phone with them,
Hmm. Yeah. This
right? And I
is
know
feeling,
there's a lot of people out there laughing.
yeah. It.
And that's one of the things that we shouldn't really do. So catching yourself is the key thing.
Mhm.
Setting the timers, setting that you're only allowed a certain time on social media, being present with people,
Hmm.
creating rules. So instead of routines, rituals, and habits, creating a rule.
Hmm.
So a rule is for me from 8 o'clock at night or 8:30. No, it's 8 o'clock at night. My phone goes on silent and I don't speak to anybody.
Right.
Like if someone calls me, except my mum and my dad and my wife, right, after 8 o'clock, it is a very, very, very slim chance that I'm going to pick that phone up. Very slim.
Okay.
And then I just engage in whatever I'm doing. And I'm now working on something new right now, a new habit and a new routine
Yeah.
is to start reading in the evening more.
Mhm. That's that's a habit that I mean, I've got a lot of books and yeah, I feel you because yeah, I used to read a lot earlier, but then I just got off it. I picked a lot of other habits, picked a lot of hobbies, and then yeah, the books just took a backseat. But yeah, we get there when we get there. And so, how are you leveraging social media in your life? I mean, yeah, you mentioned that you only use it for 15 minutes, but are you using it to reach out to other people, or is there somebody else
Yeah.
helping you with it? How is it working?
Right now, I'm doing it myself now and then. Like I say, I've got multiple businesses that
Mhm.
other people do the social media for me there and then. I like to do my own little videos. I'd like to do my own little posts about myself, saying, you know, maybe I did one the other day about being thankful for who we are and
Yeah.
not for what, and being thankful for what we've got in our life and not what we're
Mhm.
trying to strive for. Um, and then I've done many of different posts on more than anything personal development. People may say the motivational, positive post. It's more about just directional and just it's just about maybe if I can change one people's thought process in that morning or that afternoon, then it's beautiful. It's a beautiful gift I've just given someone and myself. So that's why I use Facebook, Instagram. I don't use Twitter. I don't use X. And I'll be honest with you, it's because I don't know why. I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
I will do it in the future. I do now and then use LinkedIn. And
Yeah.
again, if I'm honest and congruent with you, which I always am, I haven't got a Scooby Doo how it works. So I'm like,
Right.
cool.
Yeah.
And in the future, someone's going to do that for me.
Mhm.
Um, right now, it's kind of like it's just a bit of a hobby, and I've got a new business opportunity coming up very soon,
Mhm.
and I'll talk to you about that either on a different podcast or right at the
Yeah.
end.
So I want you to keep this answer short, right? There's a lot of people out there who are trying to get into a routine and trying to get into a ritual and form a habit. Now, what's the one thing that you've seen a lot of people getting held back by? And what can...
Themselves.
Okay, that's all right. Now, okay, I'm just stalled right now.
No,
I
you
don't
don't.
know what follow-up do I ask about that? Like, yeah, right. The only person holding you back is yourself. You're very right.
But you asked me to keep it short,
Yeah,
right? And the real simple answer to that is yourself.
right.
That's it.
Oh,
Would you like me to elaborate on that?
uh, I know I can give you a minute or 2 minutes. Yeah.
No, no, no. Would you like me to give you more context on what I mean by that?
Yeah, you'll have to keep it short. I'm on the timer right now. I've got 5 minutes.
Okay, so I've got 5 minutes, so I'll make it short, and it's this. It is yourself. And the reason why is because all we do is create stories
Hmm.
around the reasons why we can't create new routines and new
Oh,
rituals and
yeah.
habits.
We talked about it. Yeah.
Our life, our life is controlled by one person, one human being. No other human beings control our life.
Hmm.
We wake up in the morning. We control what we choose to eat. We control what we choose to do in that day. We control what we choose, whether we choose to do exercise, make the bed, whatever. We choose to do that. I, Peter Mabber,
Yeah.
choose to do that. It is my choice,
Right.
right, to do whatever I do, right? And there's only one person that's holding anybody back in this world, and it's themselves
Mm.
because they don't want to cross the line because they're fearful of the pain it may cause, even if it's better for their life.
Oh, yeah. Fully agree to that. Yeah. Thanks for that. I mean, makes a lot of sense to me, I guess, and I hope that it makes a lot of sense to the audience as well. Thank you so much, Peter. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Your Lab Central. Before we close, where can people get in touch with you if they have any other questions?
You can get in contact with me via Instagram, Facebook, Peter John Mather 1984, and then on Instagram, and then Peter John Mather on Facebook. Yeah, so that's where you can get hold of me. There you go.
Thank you so much. Thanks once again. I mean, I don't know how many times I can thank you enough for this. We've had a great talk today. I guess the audience will also have a lot to learn from. If they have any questions, they can leave a comment and we'll get back to them and we'll see how we can help them further. If they liked it, if they related to it, do leave a like. And before you close the window, don't forget to hit subscribe. Thank you so much for joining. Thanks, Peter.
Perfect. Thank you, buddy.